Hey guys, and welcome to session one, or you can think of it as week one here in the spring semester. And welcome to the Network Communications course, NETI100. I am your instructor, Roland Martin, and I will try to give you a weekly overview each week of the semester here to kind of go over what's expected of you for each week. So let's go ahead and take a look now at session one here over elements of data communication. We are going to go over chapter 1. You can see there's 5 very important phases that you need to focus on in this chapter that are very important. And this is found in the Changing World of Communication section of chapter 1 over elements of data communication. So in that section, we'll go over digitization in the 60s, the growth of data communications as we saw it in IT in the 70s, deregulation in the 1980s, the internet as a common tool that was brought to us in the 1990s here in the home environments, and then the pervasive computing that started here in the 21st century or the 2010s. So if we scroll on down here in Blackboard, obviously the first thing you need to do is read the chapter 1. So make sure you read that. It's broken up into several sections, starting out with the business benefit of data communications. Then we go into the various learning objectives that are going to be covered in the chapter. We'll go over the changing world of communications as I specified earlier about the 5 phases. Go over defining what is data communications. We'll go over the importance of protocols. Then we'll go into the last section of the chapter, which is standards and standard setting bodies. And those are very important. You'll come across those different standardization bodies throughout your IT studies in all realms. So those are get familiarized with those standardizing bodies. Also, to go along with reading your chapter, providing you a PowerPoint that kind of summarizes those key points from the chapter to help as a study guide preparing for your quizzes and your chapter and your tests, because it's great to have another tool as you prepare. As you're looking through this PowerPoint, take some notes that we have a digital copy, and maybe you'll use that as a reference tool later on. It is completely up to you if you use the PowerPoints that go along with the chapters. I'm going to go over the Respondus Lockdown Browser. This needs to be installed, and there's a video here on how to download that and install it onto your machine. The reason this is important is so that you can take your exams. Your exams must be taken using the RLDB. This is so that you don't have to have a proctor site, and it's just a great way for taking your exams, a safe way for us so you don't have to have a proctored exam. It's a very safe tool. Don't worry about that. But you also have a 5-point quiz over launching the Respondus Lockdown Browser. So it's definitely important that you have this installed on your machine, and you will be using this on your first exam in session 6. Make sure you do this. Chapter 1. Here's the exam over that. So once you've read it, you've taken some notes, you're well prepared for it, here is your first quiz. This quiz is 25 questions. You have 3 attempts at this, and your highest score is what will be recorded in Blackboard for this quiz. Let's just call it a quiz instead of exam. It's easier to take, right? All right. Does that mean that, okay, I've taken the quiz, now I'll take it again since I already know the answers or what I missed on the first one? No, because it comes from a pool of questions, so you're not going to have the same questions on your other attempts. That's why you must be prepared prior to taking this quiz. And the more prepared you are, I guarantee you'll see a better score than if you take it cold turkey. Having said that, your quiz questions can be from a variety of types. It could be a true or false question. You could see either or answers. You could see matching. Maybe you could see multiple answer questions, or you could see true or false. You could see an ordering type question. So it is a different variety of questions. So make sure you're well prepared. Now we also have discussion boards, and you can see here for this week we have a discussion board. And here's some tips on getting better scores. Definitely prepare your discussion before you just type it up and submit it. You will be graded for the content and the delivery of your discussion boards. If it's not written very well, if there's poor grammar, poor punctuation, things like that, you're going to be counted off for that. So we want to make sure that you are writing a professional type of submission, just like if you were submitting something to a boss. If a boss sees you're writing something very poorly, they are going to think of you that way, and they are not going to maybe take and get the best parts of your submission to them because of all the mistakes. So let's make sure we're writing these in a very professional manner. So for this first discussion, you can see once again, for the third time, the 5 historical phases of network communication. What other major historical events were happening during each of these 5 phases? What do people you know maybe remember about each of these decades? What did you learn and realize from examining each of these 5 historical phases? Make sure that you answer to each of those and make sure that it's written well. Give us some very valuable content. We are interested in what you have to say. Now, typically each week, your discussion postings will be, your initial discussion posting will be by, I'm going to say the end of day Wednesday. It says Tuesday here. This is a short week. Let's make sure that your initial posting is up by the end of day Wednesday this week. And then you must post a minimum of 3 times, so to 3 different, let's just call it your initial postings 1, and a minimum, and this does say minimum, a minimum of 2 responses to your peers' postings that they put up. Let's have some good interaction with one another, since we are in a virtual classroom and not face-to-face where we could sit and talk about these things as a group. So treat this as you were talking to each other, but we need to make sure that we have our initial posting up by the end of day Wednesday. Let's just forget Tuesday, because that's the beginning of our week since we're observing the holiday this week on Monday. So by the end of day Wednesday, have your initial posting about all of this posted in your thread in the discussion board. Then, before the end of day Sunday, make sure you've posted or replied to a minimum of 2 of your peers' responses and add some valuable content to them and spark some other conversation. But that is a minimum. That does not mean you're going to get maximum points just because you posted to 2 people. And that is it for this week, guys. Read chapter 1, do your quiz, do your discussion, and make sure you go over the Respondus lockdown browser and get that set up. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at rmartinjr@ivytech.edu. If you're on campus, feel free to stop by anytime and say hi. I'd love to meet you, and if you're around and have anything you want to talk about with this class or the program, always happy to help. Feel free to contact me anytime, guys. I'll email you as best I can within that 36-hour period. It just depends on what all's going on. And always make sure you check out the information here in course information. I'll try to get these weekly overview videos out to you as well, so that we all are know what's going on and there's not any hiccups. If something changes, I'll let you know in the weekly overviews, or I'll post something in the announcement section. So let's have a great first week and a great semester together. Thank you guys for joining along here in the Network Communications course. Have a great week.